Any chance you could farm in DLC 2? I'm hoping for some rewards in the red chests. So I've never seen a DLC 2 item drop in a red chest in DLC 2. What's the build I'm using? The one I'm using right now. It's a build I've been messing with for the last couple days. Yeah, actually, yesterday.
Yo, what's going on, guys? Today, we're breaking down this radioactive Fallout Boyo Zane build. But first, I gotta show you what this build is all about.
Alright, it's mortar time. It's mortar time! Wow, Hilder lived. Never mind.
We are going to be breaking down this build and going over some insanely cool strategies, the best weapons, some very cool alternatives. Also keep in mind I did a lot of testing without anointments, so for the more powerful weapons in this build, you don't necessarily need them anointed. We're going to talk about how to boss versus radiation immune bosses. We got some really cool tricks to get through all the content in this game, so stay tuned. Before we get into the video, I just wanted to say we're doing a giveaway for this build on PS4 and Xbox. We got all the gear for both consoles, and they're going to be running duping lobbies later on tonight in my Discord channel. So join the Discord in the pinned comment down below. The giveaway will be around 6 p.m. or 7 p.m. The day I post this video. Besides that, if you could drop a like on this video, I would really appreciate it because I worked on this build for a long time and I actually think a lot of you guys are going to enjoy this build just because it's kind of stupid. Now let's first mention what this build is all about. We're using the red suit and we're using the elemental projector to inflict as much explosive radiation damage across the battlefield. Pairing with all of these explosive weapons, I'm actually using splash damage radius on my class mod. Now this paired, especially with the Protuberance, especially with the Jericho, this puts all of this explosive damage all over the place. Now let's really just break down this build real quick. For the skill trees, luckily we don't have to respec. We are using my sack Zane build. This is exactly the same skill tree I use for a lot of my builds. Now you can make a couple tweaks to this if you'd like. If you want some more action time, you can actually take points out of synchronicity. But besides that, I recommend a very similar build. Now, obviously, if you see, we have the shield and the clone equipped. We're not using the drone in this build, so I actually should take this point out of drone delivery. But as you guys can see in all these clips, it just doesn't matter. We are doing a lot of damage, and this is pretty much the skill tree setup I want. I like a lot of points in violent violence. Of course, we want playing dirty. But mainly what this build comes down to is the gear we're using. My top 3 favorite weapons in this build are the Jericho, the boom sickle, and the Protuberance. These 3 are probably the top weapons you can use, especially paired with that splash damage radius I mentioned from our class mod, our AoE damage on our elemental projector. This is the combination of stat rolls you're looking for to make all of these guns work for you. Now, I know the boom sickle and the Protuberance are very hard to find. So I'm going to mention some alternative weapons you can use. Before we do that, real quick, the anointment you are always looking for on all of your weapons is basically barrier, accuracy, and critical damage, or splash damage on action skill end. For the Jericho and for the Protuberance, we're using splash damage on action skill end. For the boom sickle, we're using barrier, accuracy, and crit. And that's because this weapon actually can't roll with barrier, accuracy, and crit. Now, for those alternative weapons, I love using the Soul Render. This weapon is pretty cool, and the Splash Skulls will do bonus damage, and they can also dot you. So this weapon paired with Barrier Crit can do some crazy things. Next is the Nothingness. Now, I was using this unanointed pretty much because mine has the Sentinel anointment, and we're not using the Sentinel. And this thing was putting out some crazy damage numbers. However, it felt very weird to use. I would give this weapon a try if I were you because it is pretty cool. It's like a Malawan Flacker. Anyways, the next weapon I want to mention is the Insider. Now, this is kind of a budget Protuberance. I do have to say I really love the Protuberance in this build, and I think it's one of the best weapons in this build, but the Insider can do some work. We were running this through the takedown, and yeah, this is pretty crazy. I highly recommend trying this weapon from DLC 2, and if you can't get your hands on a Protuberance, this is a great alternative. Also, just keep in mind to try all splash damage radiation weapons inside of this build. We are really pairing splash damage radius, and AoE as our stat rolls to just carry every weapon you want to use. Now, normally I do recommend weapon-specific bonuses, and if you have a specific weapon you like, that will be how you get the most damage on your class mod, so keep that in mind. Now for the grenade, we're using the recurring hex with the grenade through anointment. Now, if you notice your barrier running out, you actually want to toss out your clone and let him live and spam these. The recurring hex is the best grenade for triggering the seein dead class mod and getting you all the action skill uptime you need. Now, when it comes to anointments, we are actually pretty much locked into this anointment or radiation on action skill end. It depends what anointment you have on your shield. Now for the shield, obviously we're using the red suit. Any red suit at all will do. We're looking for the anointment to give bonus radiation on action skill end. I actually think that's the best anointment, and you want the 25% on throw on your grenade. Otherwise, you can look for sentinel movement speed and try to get your grenade with radiation on action skill end. Keep in mind you can use any element recurring hex. It doesn't matter. Finally, I want to talk about bossing on this build, and it really comes down to this weapon I have equipped right here. This is the Sellout. Now, for those of you just joining the game, this weapon used to be super popular when the game first came out, and it was always paired with the elemental projector, and that's how we're going to boss weapons that are immune to radiation. For Wotan, you'll notice me pulling out a Cutsman and a Hyperfocus to hit the body, with the Cutsman, and to hit the head with the Hyperfocus. So I highly suggest running the Sellout. This is going to help you kill Grave Ward. There's actually some very cool tricks with the Sellout as well. The Sellout can actually dot you and trigger seein dead. You will actually gain kill skills for self-dotting. So that's a pretty crazy bonus. You can actually make yourself run faster if you dot yourself enough. Now, it's kind of hard to trigger sometimes, but you can get it. One other very cool thing we can do with the Sellout is we can basically use elements on action skill end. For example, when we're bossing against Grave Ward, we can toss Incendiary on action skill end and a Fire Hyperfocus, for example. But one very cool thing is we can activate our action skill end anointment, and when we dot ourselves, we will get triple dots. Now, not only does this activate kill skills faster, but this means we get all these elemental bonuses when we are bossing. So use the Sellout wisely, guys. You can do some pretty cool things with this. Not only trigger your kill skills before running into boss arenas, but getting triple dots on you to basically buff multiple elements at once. And this is just using action skill and anointments. Now, one warning I have to give when I recommend action skill and anointments is if you are using an action skill and anointment other than radiation and you try to dot yourself with one of these radiation weapons, you're actually just going to kill yourself instead. So don't do that. Now, that's pretty much it for this build, guys. If you want to see me do some of this stuff live over on twitch.tv/thickfillet_, come check me out. I will actually be streaming after I post this video, and then when I'm done streaming about is when we will do the giveaways for PS4 and Xbox players. Of course, if you're on PC, you're going to get a save file inside of the Discord in the pinned comment. It's just the easiest way for us to do giveaways on there because we have a trading section and community of about 5,000 Discord members. So come on down and join us, and we're going to do this giveaway. Anyways, guys, that is it for this build breakdown. I might let a couple clips play out. We'll see. If you guys like the video, don't forget to drop a like and subscribe to the channel if you want to see more Borderlands 3 Zane builds. We're getting ready for Mayhem 2.0, and I will be updating this build once I get some Mayhem 2.0 gear. Anyways, guys, I'll see you in the next one. I'm out.
0? No. But if you could give Flag's pets a shield and a class mod, then maybe they could dominate an enemy 25% of the time. Maybe. Yeah, maybe. They should bring back the macaroni hat. I mean, hey, I can't disagree to a good old macaroni hat. Guys, is it Jericho time? I think it's Jericho time. See all these red dots right here? Want to see them disappear? And that's how you use all your ammo to get through the takedown. So what's the premise behind this build? Big, large radiation explosions. And you kill everything. We're basically just using a bunch of splash to dot ourselves constantly. And then you get to wear elemental projector. Playing Ava to watch her die sounds cool. SMH my head.